Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. Hello, how are you all? Hope you are doing fine by the grace of Almighty Allah. Welcome to NIFS Home School, and this is Ariful Islam, Assistant Teacher of English, National English Version School, morning shift. Today I am going to take a Bangladesh and Global Studies class for class 60 students. Our today's topic, Chapter 4, Introduction to Population of Bangladesh. We will discuss today lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So you know, Bangladesh is a small country, but it has a huge populations, and its populations is more in comparison to its land area. You will be astonished to know that in per square kilometer 1015 people live in this country, and you will also here will be surprised to know that Bangladesh is the 8th largest populated country in the world. So my dear students, let's start the class. Open your book, chapter 4, and this is your third lecture of annual term. So let's start the class. So chapter 4, Introduction to Population of Bangladesh. I have told you the 1015 people live per square kilometer according to census 2011, and Bangladesh is the 8th largest populated country in the world. So lesson 1, Introduction to Demography. This is very important. What is demography? So the calculation or measurement of population related facts of a location or a state is called demography. Oh, it's very difficult to understand. I'm trying to clear. In a particular time, how many babies are born, how many die, how many people of which age live, how many are married, how many are migrated to other places, or how many have come from other places can be calculated. This calculation or measurement is called demography. So demos means, simply if I can say, demos means people. Demos means people, and graphy means measurement or description of the quality of people. So in other words, we can say demography is the measurement of the population or the quality of the people. Demography is also called the population science. So let's go to lesson 2, 3 and 4, dominant elements for change of populations. So what are the dominant elements for change of populations? The dominant elements for change of populations are birth rate, mortality rate, migrations, marriage, social mobility, etc. So first one, birth rate. Generally, birth rate means the number of living children born to every 1,000 women of a particular country in a particular time. The increase of birth rate is one of the reasons for the increase of population. In the countries like, look at the countries, Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, birth rate high, and USA, Canada, Australia, birth rate low. So we will discuss now, we will discuss later in our class why Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, and some poor countries birth rate is low, and the other countries like USA, Canada and Australia, the birth rate is low. I'm clear. Bangladesh, may I get clear it? Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, birth rate high. There's a poor countries, birth rate high, and USA, Canada, Australia, birth rate are low. Next one, we will discuss about mortality rate. So what is mortality rate? Mortality rate is determined by how many people of a certain age die in per 1,000 people. Decrease of mortality rate is one of the reasons for increase of populations. So this one is very important for you. If the mortality rate decreases, population increase. If the mortality rate decrease in a country, less people will die and the population will be decreased. So what are the reasons behind this, that mortality rate has been decreased? One of the most important reason is the development of medical science and technologies. So due to medical science and technologies, the mortality rate has decreased in our country for decades. Why? Because of the availability of the technology, people get more treatment and they do not die. Okay? So let's take a look at this one. In 1990, mortality rate below 5 years old in per 1,144. In 2005, mortality rate below 5 years old in per 1,038. Why this has happened? Because of the development of medical science and other technologies, mortality rate has been decreased. So we will go to next one, the migrations. So what is migrations? Migration means people's migrating from one place to another within the country or from one country to another. Migrations are two types. One is internal migration and the other is international migrations. Okay, so let's look at the migration of the internal migration. If one internal migration is, this is called internal migration. Internal migration happens when people migrate from one village to another village, village to country, town to village, town to town within the country. If I move to Dhaka to Ghazipur, so I am migrating from Dhaka to Ghazipur. So this is called internal migration, and this is in the country Bangladesh. So this is called internal migrations. If I migrate from Dhaka to India, this migration is called international migrations. Very important thing you have to look on, in internal migration, the population doesn't increase or decrease. But in international migrations, the populations of course increase or decrease. Why? If I migrate to India, so the population of India will be decreased. And and the population of Bangladesh will be decreased. Okay? Okay. So next one, come to next one. Marriages. Next one we will talk about migrations. I have talked about, then I will talk about marriages. Conventionally, the people of our country get married at a relatively tender age. It is one of the main reasons for increase of birth rate. In our country, every marriage has been officially, early marriage has been officially banned. So what is social mobility? This is very important. What is social mobility? Social mobility is the change of social status. Could you please come to this example, social mobility? Look, Mr. Arif is a poor man. He becomes highly educated and then he gets a highly official job. He becomes a BCS cadre. So in this way, his social mobility will be changed and he will be more conscious and he will take the large number of people in a small quantity. Okay? So next one, I will come to causes of dissimilarity in birth rate. So what are the causes of dissimilarity in birth rate? The number of people in our country is high, but in some countries it is low, and the birth rate in some countries, in some poor countries is high, and in some developed countries like USA, Canada, it is low. So why this has happened, we will discuss in this chapter. First one, climate. The people of tropical countries are more capable of breeding children than the people of cold countries. In the tropical regions, people become capable of breeding prematurely. As a result, the growth rate of population is low in cold countries, while in tropical countries it is high. Next one, lack of education. In the poor countries, literacy rate is low. Uneducated people are not aware of income, expenditure, or future. So they have many children. In the developed countries, literacy rate is high. Educated people are conscious of income, expenditure, and future. So they have few children. Next one, early marriage and polygamy. So what is polygamy? Polygamy means multiple marriages. So if early marriage prevails in a society, birth rate increases due to prolonged married life. Polygamy also contributes to increasing birth rate. Next one, low living standard. The poor lead a life of low standard. They do not have to pay much for feeding, education, healthcare, etc. For this reason, they do not hesitate to give birth to many children. Next one, infant mortality rate. The countries where infant mortality rate is high, parents have more children in the hope of having children alive. So high infant mortality rate leads to high birth rate. So we will move to next topic and our last topic today, impact of birth rate discrepancy. First one, fails to provide food, clothes, accommodation, education and healthcare, etc. If the birth rate is high in a country in proportion to land and other natural resources, the country fails to provide the people with basic needs such as food, clothes, accommodation, education, healthcare, etc. Next one, national income declines. As a result, problems like food deficiency, poverty, unemployment problem in educational management, ecological imbalance, etc. come into view. Standard life degrades. Man is attacked with many diseases. Why this happen? This is because high birth rate causes thick density of population which spreads germ first. The last one, ethical values disappear. In a word, if birth rate is high in comparison to land and other resources, it will not be beneficial to any country. For this reason, considering the resources of this country, birth rate should be kept under control. On the contrary, if birth rate is low in comparison of land and other resources, then country's resources will not be properly used. So this is your SW2 submit on Sunday, chapter 4, lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, make 10 MCQ. I am repeating again, SW2 submit on Sunday, chapter 4, lesson 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, make 10 MCQ. You know your SW is very important because we will give SB, CT and RE mark on the basis of the submission of the SW. So my dear student, this is for today. Keep practicing at home, avoid your parents, stay home, stay well. See you again. Till then, Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum.